Black Orchid is one of the most atypical Doctor Who stories of the whole 1980s. It's the first story since the Highlanders to have no science fiction elements, apart from the TARDIS and the regular characters, and there hasn't been another one like it since. So it's something of an experiment, and presumably a failed one as they never tried it again. But I think that's a shame. It's a great change of pace from the usual Monster of the Week, and I would have liked to see more stories do something similar. Maybe they'll try it again someday. The first episode is basically an excuse for the Tiest Crew to relax and enjoy themselves, which never usually happens. The Doctor gets to play cricket, and he's quite good at it from what I can tell. Obviously the whole sequence was written in to justify the Doctor wearing cricketing uniform throughout the entire series. It's a bit self-indulgent, and it does go on perhaps a bit too long, but at least you get Andrew Candice's bemused reactions, as they clearly have no idea what's going on. Meanwhile, Lisa gets her own storyline for once, as she turns out to have an exact double in Anne Talbot, which is quite a coincidence, as she's not even human. It gives Sarah Sutton the opportunity to play a slightly different character, who's much more fun and outgoing than Nissa ever was, even before her entire planet blew up. So I guess she does have more range than her performance to this point would indicate. Tegan also lets her hair down, and has fun flirting with the elderly Sir Robert, and dancing the Charleston. She mentions that she's given up trying to go back to Heathrow, and is happy just travelling for a while, but it's only a throwaway remark. In the modern series, she would have had a big emotional scene at the end of an episode, where she confesses she's happy to stay on board the TARDIS after all. But I guess it wouldn't really fit last week, after the big reveal put in Lane. As for Adric, he spends most of the episode stuffing his face. At the end of part 1, the plot finally kicks in, as Nissa's double is attacked by a masked man, who has stolen the Doctor's costume, so he spends most of part 2 trying to clear his name. This is where the psychic paper might have come in handy, but as it hasn't been invented yet, he just invites everyone on board the TARDIS, which seems like a bit of a cheat, to be honest. You have to think the third or fourth Doctors would have managed to talk their way out of it. Finally, we get the resolution. The masked man is not an evil alien, just the brother of Anne's fiancée, who's gone mad after being severely burned, and has been secretly living in the attic under the care of a Brazilian tribesman. I'm sure Downton Abbey would have done a similar storyline had they gone one more season. But the bad guy falls to his death, and the TARDIS crew takes their leave, but not until after the funeral, which implies they stay there for a few days, if not weeks. So they had a good long break when all said and done. Despite the lack of monsters or aliens, it's still an engaging story. It works much better than The Visitation, as the TARDIS crew are fully immersed in a period, and we get to see their varied reactions as they interact with various different characters from the time. The period detail in the sets and costumes and guest actors is as good as any BBC costume drama. Admittedly, the actual plot is a bit slight, and it might have worked better if they'd tried a more involved story, like some of the Hartnell era historicals. They could easily have expanded this into a more complex Agatha Christie-style murder mystery, which I think would have been better received. You wouldn't want Doctor Who to be like this all the time, but as a one-off it's very enjoyable. The DVD has about 45 minutes of extras. Now and then shows you what the locations used for the station, the cricket ground and the stately home look like now, and none of them have changed very much. There's 7 minutes of deleted scenes, again nothing too exciting, but there's a nice fake 1920s sepia presentation. There's 2 minutes about the restoration of the film, which is very technical. There's an 8-minute clip from Blue Peter, where the presenters visit a costume shop and try on various costumes, and you see Simon grooming his pants, different times. A 2-minute clip from Points of View has viewers complaining about the late time slot, which is fair enough, as in Wales it was going out at 8:15, which is a bit too late for young children. And there's a 16-minute documentary about the 5th Doctor comic strips, which I haven't watched yet, as I haven't read them. There was a 4th Doctor collection last year, so I assumed there'd be a similar 5th Doctor collection this year, but so far not yet. If it doesn't come out by the end of the year, I'll have to get a copy of the last reprint, The Tides of Time, although I would prefer to have them all in the same format. Still, I do have the first volume of the backup strips, Return of the Daleks, and I'll be reviewing that later this week. As there's only 2 episodes, I also listened to the DVD commentary, which is one of the best ones. There's no moderator, no crew members, just Peter Davison and all of his companions from this season running riot. Sarah Sutton really likes the story, as it gives her more to do than usual, but all of the others absolutely hate it and gleefully tear it to shreds. It's absolutely hilarious and well worth a listen. Overall, it's a really fun story, very different from the usual, but an entertaining diversion. I'll give it 7 out of 10. Next week, Earthshock, possibly one of the high points of the season. but we'll see. Subscribe to see what I think of that, and I'll see you next time.